What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Imperial Diecast. And today we're going to be taking a look at a 1/24 scale Citroen 2CV Charleston by Welly. "2CV" is pronounced as deux chevaux in French, and at the same time, the word chevaux means horses. So it's a wordplay saying this car is the equivalent of two horses. And that isn't too far from the truth, since the engine of this car, when it first entered the market all the way back in 1948, only had 9 horsepower. Although this particular variant has 29 horsepower and a top speed of 115 kph, still making it officially the weakest car in my entire model car collection. And yet, the Citroen 2CV was a success story, with almost 4 million 2CVs having been sold. Now, you won't believe it, but this fragile-looking car was actually designed as an off-road vehicle to travel the French countryside. The goal was, just like with the Volkswagen Beetle, to create an affordable car for people who were still relying on bicycles or farmers from the countryside using horse-drawn carriages for transport. It was also meant to be fuel-efficient and maneuverable. It was the Tata Nano of its time, a minimalist car which had no fuel gauge but a dipstick, window wipers operated by a hand crank, and an instrument gauge that wasn't even backlit, meaning it couldn't be read while driving at night, which of course no safety standard would allow today. Over its 42-year production run, many of those additional features got incorporated into the later model years. So this particular variant is the 2CV Charleston, which is a special edition that didn't come out until 1980, and it's mainly distinguished by its red and black paint job and chrome hubcaps. But because this has chrome headlight bezels as well, I think it is the 1981 or 82 model year. This model, in my opinion, is one of the most detailed Wellys out there, and perhaps even able to compete with a 1/24 Danbury or Franklin Mint that sell for 3 or 4 times the price. As a matter of fact, Franklin Mint did make a 1951 2CV in silver, and it's a much more basic-looking model than this one, with the only extra feature being that all 4 doors can be opened, and it has a fabric roof, but no window glass, like this Welly does. Let's take a closer look. So taking a look at the front of the 1981 Citroen 2CV, you can see that the front grille has been done pretty nicely by Welly in that it has a chrome trim, and the Citroen logo in the middle is also made out of chrome and different to the gray grille slats to either side of it, although there's a little bit of an overspray of the chrome here. And underneath we have a Citroen license plate, just says Citroen. And take a look at these headlights. You can see that they have been done in a very high level of detail because they don't have any pegs in the middle. They've got this lined sort of glass in front of it. And underneath the headlights, we also have these 2 orange indicators, as well as the front bumper with the rubber inserts. As we move on further up, you can see that the hood has this sort of lines on it, which is part of the design. And we can now, of course, also check out the mirrors here. They're made out of chrome and look pretty good. Here's the front windshield with the 2 windshield wipers. And now let's check out the engine. And the hood opens like this. Stays up. As you can see, the front grille is perforated. And inside, you can see that we have a really nice radiator. And here's the engine. Behind the engine, you can see that we have these orange tubing. And I think that's where the battery is. Let's Kind of hard to tell. But here's the carburetor. And if I show this to you from another angle, perhaps you'll be able to see more detail. So it's pretty okay. Like over there you can see that there's something else. Yeah, under the flash you can see perhaps a bit more detail. I mean, it's not painted everywhere, but you can still see, like, way back there we have some cabling and stuff like that. So that is pretty cool. Taking a look at the side of the Citroen 2CV, you can see that we have this very interesting looking curved line that starts here at the front and then travels all the way up and around. And many, many decades later, this design was actually replicated on the Bugatti Chiron, maybe because it's a car that also likes to claim some French heritage. Let's take a closer look at the wheels. So here you can see that we have the chrome hubcaps and a body-colored rim, and of course the rubber tires, and there's no brake disc or brake caliper to be seen, which is of course the way it was. And behind the fender you can see that over here we have like what looks like a light. Maybe this is the indicator. And we have mud flaps on the front, but not on the rear wheel. And then here is, I think, the exhaust tubing. It travels to the back. Now, regarding the windows, you can see that there is like this split in the middle. And that's because the lower window portion would flip up, because the car's doors were so thin that a window crank mechanism couldn't be built in. Solido made a 118 version of this 1982 Charleston, which has the windows in the flip-up position, which looks really cool. It also has gray seats in the interior instead of black ones. So if you collect 118 cars, you might want to look for that one instead of this. But keep in mind that on the Solido version, you cannot open the hood, and the slats on the front grille look yellowed out. Taking a look at the back of the 1981 Citroen 2CV Charleston, you can see that the back is quite Spartan. I mean, we do have like a trunk, but I don't think there's much room in there and it cannot be opened on this 124 model. But we have the Citroen rear license plate, and on the top left it says 2CV Charleston, and on the right it says Citroen, and you've got, of course, the Citroen emblem next to it. The taillights are pretty basic, they're just red, and they do have pegs in the middle. And other than that, there's really not much else to see here. So, taking a look at the roof of this peculiar car, you can see that there's a nice design here. And this is actually a canvas roof that can be rolled back on the real car. Also, you can see that the bolts that keep the roof attached to the bodywork are painted in silver. Now, on the top right side of the roof, you can see that there is a sort of flaw, as if the plastic here was damaged. However, I think this flaw on the roof is an imperfection on the industry mold itself, because I saw other reviews here on YouTube of Welly 2CVs where the roof had the imperfection at the exact same place. Speaking of other Welly Citroen 2CVs, this is actually my replacement model. The first time I bought this car, the burgundy paint on the hood had faded a bit, so I got a second one and sent the first one back, but before doing so I took this side-by-side picture with the second, current model that I'm reviewing being the one on the left. But in this comparison you can also see how both models have the same imperfections on the roof, not just in the main area on the center left of the roof, but also where the roof meets the windshield, you can see the same irregularities on both models. And over here we have the fuel filler, which is like protruding a little from the rear fender, almost like a three-dimensional piece. And now let's check out the interior of the 2CV Charleston, and you can see that the interior is pretty nicely done. First of all, it's very obvious, but the seats have this beautiful diamond stitching to them, and it's sort of like recessed, so it's not just like a print or anything, but an actual pattern, both on the front seats and on the rear seat, the rear bench seat. So that's pretty nice. And of course we have the stick shift there in the middle, kind of attached to the dashboard, I think, which is another peculiarity. Not much to see otherwise, because it is a very Spartan interior. Let's check out the door card. I'm taking a look at the driver's side. Here's perhaps a better look at the steering wheel. You can see right there is the gauge, which is barely readable, but so yeah. And then down there we have another chrome handle for something, possibly the handbrake. The steering wheel is also uniquely shaped as a single spoke. You can see that we actually have rubber floor mats, or what look like rubber. And of course you can also see how the foot pedals have been modeled as separate pieces. And under the mats, that's grooved flooring. So that's pretty nice. And on this Welly model, we have front swivel with a responsible steering wheel as well. Taking a look at the bottom of the 2CV, you can see that it says Welly, made in China, Citroen 2CV, scale 124. And other than that, there's of course the singular exhaust system leading to the exhaust pipe. And that's really about it. So I hope you guys liked my review of the 124 scale 1982 Citroen 2CV Charleston by Welly. I think it is one of the most detailed 2CV replicas you can get in 124 scale. If you're interested in my review of this car's competitor, the Volkswagen Beetle, you can check it out here. Take care, this is Imperial Diecast, signing out.